I'm Jordan Tribble. I'm from Carbondale, Colorado, and I'm a flying trapeze artist.
And I am Carrie Kirkland, the co-owner and general manager of Emerald City Trapeze in Seattle, Washington. I got into flying trapeze by taking a class with my girlfriend who had a birthday and she wanted to try flying trapeze and no one would do it with her. So I said I would do it with her and we signed up, took a class together, and then I got caught and then I got caught again, and it was amazing and it was the best experience I've ever had in my life. And I got hooked right away. I fell in love with it instantly. And funny enough, she stopped doing trapeze, but I kept doing trapeze. And a year later, I married my instructor, who was also the owner, and the rest is history. My favorite part about flying trapeze is definitely the sense of freedom, because it's like there's nothing like it. The feeling of being in control of your own body and your own body awareness, yet really having to give up so much control with everything else is just this freeing, amazing experience for type A personalities who hate that idea of giving up control.
I started flying trapeze actually because of my uncle. My uncle Sam Tribble. He is a professional serial artist, and he travels all over the world teaching serial and traveling rings, and basically an overall just coach, kind of whatever apparatus you want to do. And I was out in LA looking for work and couldn't find anything. I was looking for anything to like bus tables. But he's like, oh, they're hiring at the trapeze school. They're always hiring at the trapeze school. This was out in LA, the trapeze school in New York, in Los Angeles. And so I went down there. He introduced me to some people, and I was like, oh, well, if I can just do this temporarily. And then once I started swinging and started actually coaching and teaching, I fell in love with it as well and couldn't stop. I've been doing it 2.5 years straight since. You know, there's two different types of flying. There's flying in lines and there's flying out of lines. When you fly in lines, it's still that rush and you get that adrenaline. But the moment you are able to take those safety lines off, it's a completely different experience. And you can definitely the weight of the lines on you is so massive. You don't even realize that like 3 ounces is a lot, but it is. Mm-hmm. And so when you have that on you, it's so freeing. And so like Carrie said before, that freedom aspect to be able to like feel yourself floating through the air and to let go and do a flip or even just land flat to your back and just coasting down to the net is liberating.
Mm-hmm. It's basically like when you were a kid and you climbed a tree and you grab that first branch and you climb your way up and you're on that first branch and maybe it's 6 feet off the ground and you look down and you're uncomfortable and then you get comfortable with that distance, right? You go back up to the first branch and you get comfortable with that distance. And when you're comfortable with that distance, then maybe you see the branch above you and you grab for that branch until you're at the very top. And then, I mean, the feeling of falling, probably comparable to falling out of the tree at 20 feet, but in this case, you're lucky you have a net underneath you. But it's that same feeling of reaching for more, trying to get higher, trying to get lighter and tighter and stronger and faster. And it's the rush of what could potentially happen, which is not necessarily a good thing, because it caters to a certain type of personality where you're just like, I'm gonna go for it, I'm gonna do it. That's this one here. Where other people, feel that it's a very good way to get through some of their fears and push through that in a controlled environment. So that's it. Honestly, I've done skydiving, I've done bungee jumping, I've done scuba diving, I've done all these sort of freedom type experiences. The first time I did trapeze, I jumped off and you feel the weight in your hands all the way through your shoulders and into your body. But it's different. It's like being a bird.
A lot of it is trust too. Mm-hmm. So it's like finding that balance, and this is also fear as well, like the fear of trusting somebody else or fear of trusting yourself. So along with that fear, it's like really just starting to be able to trust yourself, to know that especially when you start to take safety lines off and start to do things with you and just the net, it's something to where you really can go, okay, I know I can do this. When you hit to a level where you're, professional and you're flying in 2-3 shows a day, you're really tired. You're exhausted. but you have to get up there, and you know that even if your mind is not completely there and you're just kind of like, you know your body, and you have to be able to trust that your body's going to do what you know it can do. So it's kind of it's a different dynamic to things as well. And then when you take it across to the catcher, trusting that the catcher is going to make a good decision for you, but also, just catch you.
Yeah.
Uh, Performing in general is, for me, it's an amazing experience. It's awesome to be able to get that. The energy that you get from the audience is incredible. It's like you can't imitate it. We try as much as possible when we're practicing to try to feel that same energy, but there's just nothing you can do. And when you have, the difference from 50 people in the crowd to 300 people is ginormous. So that extra boost, and actually it's funny, as you start to get going, you really have to actually calm yourself down because you'll do too much. So like for me as well, it's something that I have to relax and just throw my trick the way I normally throw my trick. Even though I have more energy and more power to give to the trick, I can't do it because if I do too much, I change the dynamics of our timing or the height or whatever it is. So it's such a rush to be able to know that you have so much energy and so much power, but also knowing that you have to ease it and you have to stay controlled and stay calm. Performing at Emerald City is ridiculous. It's one of the best places to perform. There's really no place that you can go and have people 5 feet away from you. So, if you're in a circus and you're in a tent, people are, 50 feet, 30,
feet.
yeah, 50, at least 30, 40 feet away from you. So, us performers, we can be having a full conversation on the board and you would never know. You only see us dancing and moving, so you never actually see our facial expressions. And then being here, you can see everything that we do, so it has to be very, very direct and choreographed, and it's just a different energy that you have to put out, and it's amazing. It's amazing to feel that, like I said, because you can feel the energy from them so much better as well, to get pumped up and be ready, but also just to know that it's more of a personal interaction with your audience, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think the space here is so unique because it's one of the only performance spaces for circus where you can be that close to your audience, but there's an intimacy that's gained in that. There's you're doing this with your audience. It's not an interactive experience per se, but you are so close, and that energy transfer between you and the audience is so tangible that it's a very, very close and personal experience. Everybody's going on this, on this trip together. It's not just an audience and a performer. It starts to melt in between the two. And the way we do circus at Emerald City Trapeze is, our acts kind of come out of nowhere. They come from, a small pin spot on the floor, and they expand to a large area. Obviously the net, putting up the net is a show in itself. The audience gets to experience, watching this net, this full-size circus net, go from the back of a clown car, to spanning 70, 80 feet of an old warehouse. There's nowhere like that you can watch every aspect of the show and be a part of it and have it not be tiresome or boring. It's all part of the show, and it's all exciting, and it's all very, 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 very personal and very intimate. For me, on the business side of things, there's the elements of show creation and production and management and direction and creative, all that kind of stuff. My world is more managerial, more the business side of things. These guys get to have the fun of the performance, but so much hard work goes into creating their act, the choreography, the costuming, the music, all of that. We kind of work together as a team and collaborate on what works, because if I hand down the law to them and say, this is what you're flying to, and they don't like it and they don't feel it, it doesn't serve anybody. And vice versa, if they come up with some board choreography and I go, that is really not the vision that I had for this show at all. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. If they do that, then it doesn't serve us either. So it's really, it's a team effort. It's collaborating on, getting all the pieces in place. The performers, the bar, the security staff that it takes. In this show and our last show, the riggers were such a huge part of the show because they are changing each scene. They're changing all the rigging for all the aerialists, and then they're putting up the net with these guys. I mean, it's a hugely physically demanding job and a mentally taxing position to take. So honestly, in circus, pretty much everything is a team effort, save for the individual performances. Really, that's how we function as a family, as a team. Most circuses actually start out with a family unit. Most circuses from the past were, highly Latin based, and it went down the family line for generations. And we've kind of created our own version of that. We're not blood relations. We're not real blood family, but we are connected in a way that I've never experienced before anywhere else.
Well, for practice, I mean, it kind of depends. It's like kind of what Carrie said. Is like we start really for us. It's about choreography, finding out what the act is going to be, music. We talk a lot about what the music's going to be, kind of what the feeling, what the kind of the vibe that we want everybody to leave with is kind of really where we start. And then as those kind of things progress, a lot of the time it's working on tricks. Choreography fills in a lot later on. It kind of depends on how extensive the choreography is. We had a show about a year ago, Valentine's Day, and the entire act was based on the choreography. So everything was very, very intricate on what we did in each movement on the board as we interacted. And this last show was more about the tricks and what was happening and kind of the enthusiasm that we had on the board. So it was a little bit different, but a lot of it is, like I said, for at least for me in the last upcoming months, it has been mainly about the tricks. Me and my catcher, Nick, he's right over there, we've been working together really hard on catching the double and the triple that you saw in the show. We've taken some time to really step it up and try to put another edge on the tricks that we're throwing and catching, and it was actually huge for us. First time I've ever thrown those tricks in a show. Triple I've thrown in a show once, but so it's really really intense going into it, just trying to like buckle down and make sure that we're super solid. So that way, when we do get to the choreography is that's the last thing on our list to make sure that the show is clean, and then we have our interaction.
The hardest part for these guys though too is that they have to perform and they have to train in between teaching classes. So, these guys who are throwing the biggest tricks in circus are also the ones holding the lines and, on the platform with the first timers and making sure that everybody's safe and happy and having a good time. So they have to find their training time in between that, whether it's like early in the morning or a chunk of time. We got 2 hours between this class and the next class in the afternoon. A lot of times these guys will teach classes all day long. Like on a Saturday, we start at 9 a.m. and we go 9, 11, 1, 3, 5:30, 7:30. They finish at 9:30, and then they're on the rig by 10, rehearsing, training. I mean, up to probably 4 hours a day easily, like with weight training and working on different stuff and different aspects of the show. They train almost every single day. The same as for the aerialists, it's constant. And if you stop, you go backwards very, very quickly. So they can't really stop. The fact is, the school exists because they teach during the day. So it's a real kind of, the relationship is like, oh man, if somebody gets injured or, anything, we have to make sure that we can run the school so we can keep the lights on, and we have to make sure that we can do the shows so that these guys get the chance to perform and be happy and, feel that passion come out for everybody else and inspire other people. The reason that Emerald City Trapeze exists is because we want to give people the experience of a lifetime. And we want them to have the opportunity to take that one single experience of their first class and let them build from there. So if they decide they want to do this for fitness, they can come back and do it for fitness. If they decide they want to go pro and be a professional, Emerald City is the one place really in North America at least that you can train as intensively as we do. We're a launching pad. We're a springboard for people to go pro and to be able to take what they learn here, take it out into the professional world, and then come back home, refine their skills, decide, hey, we got it right behind us. This is all people who have that dream or pushing themselves to do things that they didn't think was even possible. And so for my advice, my unsolicited advice to the layman out there is just take a class, honestly, because it changed everything about my life. I was a corporate 9-to-5er, you know, who was certainly a little more on the liberal side of pushing boundaries, but not hugely. And I took one class. And it changed my life to who I married. It changed my life to who are my friends, who's in my life, who my employees are, my staff, my team, this amazing family in this amazing place. And I can't even count the number of people who have walked in this door, taken one class, and they now have a lifelong family just right here.
Yeah. Anybody who wants to try, it doesn't matter your age, your height, your size. It like you can do it. Flying trapeze, like we said before, it connects so much to your life, and if you have the drive to say, you know what, I want to try it, and you come and you try it, it's going to change your life, and that's really what it's about. So come down, try a trapeze class, push your limits, you know, find out what you really have, because I know you have something awesome in there. You just have to like do it. Just do it. Do it.
Don't be afraid to be afraid. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to be afraid.
Excellent.
That's weird. Anyway,
Maybe you'd be a good sailor.
you know what? I'm afraid of the ocean, to be honest.
Me too.
Yeah, I would not be a
Legit.
good sailor.
I would be terrible at it.
Yeah, like, there's nothing there.
But it
There's
moves.
nothing there. But
Yeah.